Hi guys, this is your host Matt with Mental Health Reddit, back with another video today. Today we're going to be reading a post from Burning Druid 13. Have you ever quit a job without another lined up for your mental health? And if so, how did it turn out? Alright, let's get into it. Got burnt out and quit after bullcrap management changes. Luckily, I saved up a good amount of money to do whatever I wanted for about 4 months until I finally felt the need to better myself and move on with my life. I got another job that was safer than my last and went back to school to further my degree. It was a much needed break, and I don't regret it one bit.
I quit my job of a year and a half out of anger and spite for my manager, and because of my quickly declining mental health. While it helped at first, the anxiety of not having a steady source of income took a much larger toll on me than I anticipated, and I really didn't get to focus much on my recovery for my mental health until I had secured a new job to quell my anxieties. Pretty similar experience, unless the person is being specifically abusive. I've learned to just deal with jobs I don't like, and by deal, I mean meditate before work, seeing a counselor when it feels too big, having things outside of work that bring me joy, not expecting my job to bring happiness, eating correctly, etc. Good luck, OP. Hope you're alright. Left my job at 15 years with nothing lined up because it was gaining me nothing and more aside from being overused for my job knowledge with no reward. Took a month off, found another job that pays me more per hour than my last after I got promoted to supervisor after putting in 5 months, and I couldn't be happier. Quit my job at a call center without anything lined up. I used to cry in my car before a shift, used up all my sick days, and it worsened my suicidal thoughts, so I got myself out of there when I couldn't take it anymore. I quietly stood up from my desk and quit right on the spot. I had never walked out of a job before. It took me a month to find another job with just slightly less hours, so a little less money, but it was worth it because I'm actually a lot better mentally and physically, and I like the job. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Edit. Thank you for all the kind words. I'm a young professional now, and I'm finishing up an extension program to further my degree. Life's good at the moment. Life has its ups and downs. It's just part of the grind. Call center job after 1 week of training and 2 days of actual work. During the training, you're shown how it's not possible to order a free trial of these expensive products without seeing the clearly marked, in multiple locations, terms and conditions. But then I got to the floor, and these people were old people who were offered a free gift when they bought something on Amazon. They never went to a website and ordered a free trial. They were lied to and then charged $80+ 3 weeks later. It was a scam built to prey on old people. I had a panic attack on the way to work, and I quit when I arrived. Duck that noise. Hell yes, I worked in a retail store that was farming based, but we had the political atmosphere of Game of Thrones. Everyone hated each other and constantly tried to undermine one another. If you were talking to someone that someone else didn't like, it was known across the store. And suddenly, people would stop talking to you, as in, you would stand there and ask a question, and they would turn their back on you. I got zero training, got promoted to zone manager, more work with no extra pay, and then injured my foot, falling off one of the rickety old wooden ladders. This caused everyone to turn on me because the store had to file a workman's comp claim, so they missed out on the annual award, a visit to the Golden Corral buffet in January. Anyway, after about 2 weeks of mind-numbing boredom and having everybody staring daggers at me while I try to figure out just what the hell I was supposed to be doing, I just quit. Didn't give notice, just left my badge and vest there and went to lunch and never came back. It took me a few months to find another job, but at least I was no longer alternating between openly weeping and feeling physically nauseous. Imagine being that emotionally invested in an annual trip to the Golden Corral. That's how you know you have nothing left. I don't have to imagine, it happened to me. I ended up having to work there for way longer than I probably should have. It's truly depressing when you're a supervisor responsible for 10 people, 15 to 20 during busy times of the year, and making the same amount as everybody else. On top of that, having to do way more crap. There was even a few months where the new hires made more than me, and I was still being refused a raise. People who did less were supervised by me.
Needless to say, I never reported any of the thefts I witnessed and put in the bare minimum amount just to not get fired. They pulled me aside a bunch of times saying dumb crap like, "Why don't you try harder? How are you going to move up in life without working hard? I feel like you're only here to collect a paycheck." This one always baffles me. Everyone's there to collect a paycheck. The majority of employees dread all the corporate culture nonsense companies push. Sure, there's some ancillary benefits sometimes, but this idea that people aren't working 99% of the time for a paycheck is denying reality. I quit after an argument with my boss because I didn't agree with how he did things. Within 2 months, I started my own company, doing what he did, but the way I thought it should be done. I'm still running that business, and he shut his down 3 years ago. Pro revenge there. The best revenge is living good. Congrats on your successful business. Yes, 10 years ago, I was in a bad relationship and struggling with chronic anxiety and depression. My long, stressful commute and job I hated just added to my stress. One day, I got a migraine and went home early while my boss was at lunch. The next day, she requested a meeting. And before the meeting was to take place, I sent her an email with my resignation. My anxiety took over, and I just couldn't face whatever it was she was planning to say to me. And it turned out badly. My dad was extremely angry and said some pretty cruel crap. My relationship with him has never been the same, and probably never will be. My boyfriend dumped me a couple months later and kicked me out of our house. I had to move back in with my parents at age 30, and I wasn't able to find another job for 11 months. My mental health has improved a lot though, so I've got that going for me, which is nice. I didn't have a job lined up, but I knew I'd be okay for a while. I pretty much drained my savings, partly because of my mental health. My best advice is also a really bad advice, but I would suggest finding ways to deal with it while you work. Am I getting better? Sure, in a way, but I've learned that at least for me, this will probably be a lifelong battle, and most won't have the capital to sustain that. We're no longer in a country of prosperity for many hardworking Americans, we're just trying to survive. I quit my job because my boss was incredibly neurotic. She micromanaged me and told me to get off the phone when I was conducting interviews, knowing full well I'm conducting interviews. She took away and moved that phone to a different room, so I had to stand up to conduct all the interviews. When I quit, she threatened to kill me. I had to get a restraining order against her. Then she sent her brother after me. I had to get a second restraining order against him. I'm bipolar 2, so I frequently get so depressed I can't get out of bed. I have walked out on multiple jobs on the spot. No notice, no nothing. But I attempted to walk out once on the same place I currently work at. I actually think I've attempted to walk out multiple times. They didn't let me. The owner's wife was aware of my mental state and practices medicine relevant to my situation. Long story short, I never left. They consistently work with me, and I wish everybody could speak openly with their employer about their needs, mental or physical. As of today, it's been 2 weeks since I quit my full-time job with no other means of income lined up. I'm a young female who worked under a manipulative and abusive man 2.5 times my age. After being shown multiple times that sexual favors and consistent emotional abuse were the required conditions to get a paycheck, I promptly bailed. He has by now found a replacement and someone to train them, I'm sure. But I aced an interview at a higher paying job just yesterday, and have another interview set up at a different company on Monday. So I feel much happier and safer in being proud of my decision. It turned out great. I was working in retail. I generally loved my job until I had chronic depression and anxiety. While all this was happening, my parents broke up and my granddad was dying from cancer. I was getting verbally abused by my manager and not trying hard enough. I once came into work one day and couldn't open the door because somehow my key snapped in half. I had to call the manager to open the door, and then she went on to say, "That's not good enough," like it was my fault. Anyway, I decided I've had enough with this place and talked to HR and went on sickness leave. During that time, I decided I did not want to see her ever again. A few months after, I started working for my partner doing video editing and photoshopping, where I get to work from home. For the first time, I have a career path I want to aim for, which is computer science. It was the best decision of my life. I should also mention I have recently got off all medication and I feel so alive. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of the video today. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. It really helps me out as I'm trying to get this channel off the ground. Going forward, I should be posting videos regularly on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Again, thank you for your support. Until next time, peace.